This is May the 8th, and you were listening to another episode of the Twoonie Bin. My name is Kay.
My name's Gray. How's everybody doing this week? Thanks for tuning in.
Hope you guys had a great... May the 4th be with you,
May the 4th have been with you at one point, and I hope everybody who celebrates this had a wonderful Cinco de Mayo on the 5th of May, hence Cinco de Mayo, in case anyone ever wondered. It is literally the Spanish translation of May the 5th.
And, of course, on this great day, too, I hope all the mothers here paying attention, or any of our fans here paying attention, have wished their mothers a happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day to my mother, and my grandmother, and my other grandmother as well.
And, of course, everybody I know that's a mother. There's too many people to count.
There's a lot of them, lots of them.
So happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, we've got a great show lined up for you today, and we're going to start off with the big story in Canada right now. You've probably heard about a certain wildfire that has consumed a good chunk of Fort McMurray, Alberta. We at the Twoonie Bin have been praying for the victims of this, people who have lost their homes, lost everything they've had, only escaped with the shirts off their back and their vehicle. Just want to say we're all with you. Everybody across Canada is with you. And mind you, a lot of things have been mentioned about how it's been hell on earth and how bad it's been. But I think we should take a minute to focus on what is happening that is good. Let's start off with the donations. We've already, as of today, $30 million donated by individuals to the Red Cross across Canada.
Oh, wow.
And the federal government's matching all of that, and it's an unlimited amount that they're matching. There's no cap, so whatever you give to the Red Cross, it could be $10, it could be $1,000. The government will double that. So that is fantastic news.
And you said these were individuals, so these aren't like corporations or anything.
No, these are for individual donations. But as for corporations, a lot of them are stepping up to the plate too. I've gone to 2 different supermarket chains, and both of them are taking collections. They're just adding it to your grocery bill if you wish, and each one will match that donation up to $100,000. Just reading through a list that the Huffington Post compiled. Air Canada is offering the lowest possible fares it can. WestJet's expanding some partnerships it already has with oil sands companies to use their runways to evacuate people. If you need a shower, Good Life Fitness will take care of you. You can come in and you can take a shower and change there. It's fine. TELUS has provided 1,000 cell phones and chargers for people to use in case they didn't have access to a phone. Bell has donated $100,000. Rogers has donated $100,000. The NHL has donated $100,000. Edmonton Oilers, $100,000. Calgary Flames, $100,000. Lots of great news coming out of that. We've got a lot of involvement, and it's not something that's lost on anybody. A lot of people are paying attention to this, and congratulations to those companies that have done it. It's very, very, very good of you that you've done that.
And have you noticed it's only really Canadians that are helping out with this cause?
I can't say I've heard anything about other countries stepping up to the plate. I have heard that the U.S. has offered assistance, but I haven't heard much else.
I know, and I mean, as being Canadian, when Haiti had that big, huge tsunami come in and wipe out the majority of their coastlines, we helped out. We gave a lot of her.
You might be thinking of Haiti.
Haiti,
Yes,
that's
you
it.
said
I'm
Haiti.
so sorry.
You said Haiti. No, Haiti was not taken out by a hurricane. Haiti was taken out of hurricane.
Who knows? Maybe Haiti was.
Maybe a Haiti in Haiti. But hurricane after an earthquake, yes. So hopefully we are going to, it would be nice if some other countries came to our attention. We might have missed a couple here and there. That can happen. But from what we're gathering on day of taping, not much else is happening. But kudos to everybody that has. I know I will be. I had an expensive car repair this week, so unfortunately I could not. But the government will be matching individual donations up to May 30th of 2016.
31st.
May 31st? I heard 30th. But either way, you have a lot of time to donate, although the money is needed sooner than later. But definitely you have time to donate.
And hopefully these people are able to rebuild their lives again with all this tremendous
The damage estimate is so far about $9 billion.
Ooh.
It's supposed to be one of the biggest insurance events in Canadian history. but it is just part of the way it is. We have a system set up where you buy insurance, they'll pay for the rebuilding, the government will help out with that. Well, obviously Fort McMurray is a very important center to the Canadian economy. No matter how high or low the oil prices, it is huge. It's already having an impact on the economy, and it will going forward for a little while as long as Fort McMurray remains closed. So they're obviously going to help out. It's a big part of our country, and we would do this for any other city in this country. So don't worry about that. Fort McMurray, we are with you.
Now, on the topic of going about talking about out west there as well, I do want to bring up a major issue that's been happening in Alberta as well as British Columbia. Actually, it seems like here it's mainly in British Columbia and it's spread out to Alberta, but what's happening is there's been several different fentanyl fatal overdoses taking place.
That's right. There's been lots. I've heard lots about that in the news lately.
So the first fentanyl fatal overdose took place over 4 years ago in British Columbia when a body shown up in the morgue. Of course, the coroner was asked to check for Oxycontin in the blood, and instead of finding Oxycontin, they found fentanyl. Now, since then, fentanyl overdoses have been on the rise in both of those provinces.
And what are we at in terms of, like, how much has it increased? How big of a problem is it now?
Yeah, I'll definitely get into that, but
Okay.
First I just want to kind of explain what fentanyl is.
No, that's a good idea, too.
So fentanyl is an opioid medication, so it comes from the same family as morphine and Oxycontin and Percocet. It is mainly used for part of the anesthesia process to help prevent pain after surgery, as well as many different other related stuff as well. It is injected into the skin and is usually monitored closely by a doctor to prevent any kind of accidental overdose. Now, the reason why there is such a big concern with accidental overdose in the medical community is because this drug is 100 times more powerful than morphine. And because it is so strong, it is also very highly addictive. So people who are used to having like an Oxycontin or morphine addiction, they might take the same amount of fentanyl, and because of how strong it is, it becomes an overdose.
And quick.
Now, naloxone is a drug that can be used to reverse these effects in a case of an overdose there as well. So, I mean, at least there is a drug there that can reverse this, so you don't have to worry about overdosing. And that's also injected there as well.
Okay. It says here in British Columbia, sorry, just the notes, fentanyl use is starting to replace Oxycontin use. Last year in 2015, 465 people died due to overdose, and this year expected to rise to 800 people. During Thanksgiving weekend in 2014, 31 overdoses were reported at an injection-safe facility in Vancouver. I can't talk today. Injection-safe facility. There we go.
Also at that facility as well, with those 31 overdoses that were reported, they're saying a lot of those overdoses happened because somebody put fentanyl into the heroin.
Oh, no.
So the police made a report shortly before the weekend saying that there's been a bad heroin batch, and then they found out later it's because it was injected with fentanyl.
Oh, okay. Now, British Columbia has since become the first province to make naloxone available over the counter. 7,400 of the antidotes have been handed out since 2012. And from January to March of this year alone, 800 of those kits were handed out. Alberta made it free with prescription and has since handed out over 9,000 since 2015. The goal is to have the Naloxone, sorry, could not, just had to double check that. Naloxone, their goal is to make it more accessible and to gather more information on how to assist those who risk overdose.
Yeah, and the main problem is right now, nobody knows who is using this drug until they're either ending up dead because of an overdose or if they're asking for naloxone.
That's right.
So, I mean, it is a big, huge issue, and that's one thing that we also need to be looking to help get off the streets, because, I mean, that's very powerful. Now, with that as well, some of the questions that we can think about here is what else needs to be done to get fentanyl off the streets.
Well, how is it getting there to begin with? I mean, is it being robbed from pharmacies? Is somebody have some connections? What's going on with it?
It's hard to say. There hasn't really been an increase in pharmacy robbings.
Mm-hmm. And they've, from what I've gathered around here anyway in Southern Ontario, if there's a pharmacy being robbed, it's for OxyContin.
Yeah. So I mean, it's hard to say how this is getting onto the streets there, if it is a synthetic form or if it is the actual real deal.
Could be.
But who knows exactly how this is being on the streets. But I do think they need to start educating everybody.
Because I mean, not too many people really know what it is.
Exactly. And I mean, with it being so undetectable that you can lace it in other drugs and nobody's going to be able to pick up the difference until it's too late. I mean, the more we get out there and the more information we provide to everybody, the easier it is going to be to help get this off the streets or help make it more aware.
So, short and sweet version of that advice is stick to the weed.
Yeah, you can't go wrong there. Well, I guess technically you could put fentanyl.
But yeah.
Now, another question that arises from this situation here as well is, should fentanyl be replaced with another kind of medication for pain relief with surgery-related incidences?
Now, I'm the sort of person who, if I get a small headache, I will take the maximum dose of super strength Motrin that I can take to kill it. My liver might not thank me later, but my head thanks me immediately. Well, maybe not immediately, after 15 minutes. The point being, the better the painkiller, the better off we are. It's the people who abuse it and try and kill people for their own financial gain.
And
That's
then there's me. I prefer
have.
not to have it. I prefer to have as little drugs as possible in my system.
Liar. But
I don't even take Tylenol, for goodness sake.
I don't either, but I take stronger shit. The point being, we're two very opposite ends of the spectrum on this. I say keep it because it does a lot of good for people in pain. And Kay here is saying no, but I'm saying if we just keep it out of the wrong hands, how difficult could this be?
Well, the thing is keeping it out of the wrong hands. But I mean, if you guys have any suggestions or comments on this topic,
well, I can't walk in and get a pill worth $20,000 from the government if they don't think I need it. Obviously, they're getting fentanyl without issues.
Exactly. But if you guys have any further comments or anything that you would like to add, feel free to comment below. Check out our Twitter page or our Facebook page there as well.
We're always there. We now have a new health story. It's about the Zika virus, and something we can report now. Canada has now seen its first case of sexually transmitted Zika virus. With no known cure or immunization, it's only a matter of time before Canada would have seen its first case. The Zika virus is a member of the genus Flavivirus, or the Flaviviridae virus family. It is related to West Nile, yellow fever, dengue fever, and what's this last one? Japanese encephalitis. Yes, when we do the scripts, we have to start writing it out in a way where we can actually just read it and not guess. Anyway, it is spread by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which cannot live in our Canadian environment, thank God. The less the better. Zika virus causes mild headaches, which I would kill with any sort of painkiller I can get. Rashes, fevers, malaise, conjunctivitis.
I can't even say that.
You wrote the script.
Conjunctivitis.
There we go, and joint pain. In pregnant individuals, it can cause severe brain anomalies in the fetus, as well as small heads. We've seen those. It's not pretty.
So Zika virus was first discovered in 1947. It was considered to be a very mild virus. It was discovered in New Guinea.
Okay.
And for the longest time, especially in Africa there, it was a virus that started off in a monkey, then was transported to a human, and then back to a monkey.
Oh. Back to the monkey. Wow.
Yeah, so it went back and forth like that.
So it's not quite like contagion. There's an extra step.
No. So, and that's how you normally got it. And it was very rare for you to get back then as well. Since then, it has spread to 42 countries across the world, mainly in South America, Latin America, Africa there, and then of course like New Guinea and New Zealand. Of course, just the nice foresty, nice moist areas around the equator.
Where the mosquitoes would be breeding and living quite nicely.
Now, the first sexually transmitted case came to light in 2011 when a scientist visited, I forget what country he visited, but he visited a country, came back, and gave it to his wife in Chicago. Now,
wonderful. Thanks for sharing, Kay.
No problem. With over 3,400 confirmed cases in Canada, it was only a matter of time before Canada seen its first sexually transmitted case. Now, the FDA has recently approved a test to confirm Zika cases easier as well. Luckily, Zika virus does go away with time, and unless you are pregnant, no long-lasting effects.
Okay, good news.
So if you are a woman and you feel like you have been exposed to the Zika virus, it is strongly advised to hold off on pregnancy for 2 months, and then make sure that you're using proper contraceptives like condoms and stuff as well. Now, if you are a man, however, because Zika virus does live in your semen, so it's the only reason how it can be sexually transmitted there.
Yep.
You are to be using condoms for 6 months.
6 months?
And be extremely careful. Now, if your partner is pregnant, don't have sex for the rest of the pregnancy.
Okay, so this applies to oral as well?
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Any case where your semen can get inside your partner.
Oh.
And I say partner because it can go from male to male as well.
Yeah, a lot of things can go. Doesn't matter what it is. It can infect anybody. So we always have to be careful, even with who we're with. But really.
Now, health officials are unsure of how long Zika virus can actually live for in the semen, but they are able to determine that it is anywhere between 2 and 6 months. They have found cases where it is 6 months, but not longer than 6 months. So if you have traveled to these countries, if you feel like you are at risk because you are showing symptoms or you have been proven to have Zika, please be very careful. We don't want to start having pregnancy bans like they have started in El Salvador and Brazil.
That's going to cause problems for the future.
Yeah, Brazil's under a 2 year.
If there's no children being born for 2 years,
yep,
that's pretty bad.
And with Brazil too, in both Brazil, El Salvador, and a bunch of other countries in that area, they're very anti-abortion too. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they're having this pregnancy ban, but if you get pregnant,
you can't abort.
And then you have this child that you're going to have to fork out lots of money to try and keep it alive.
That's right. Money you don't have.
Exactly. So, I mean, it is a pretty serious situation there. So, guys, please be careful.
That's all I can say, too.
Now, to lighten up the mood here a little bit, there is this restaurant in Oakville, Ontario that lost a $12,000 lawsuit due to the restaurant.
I don't know if that's lightening up the mood. This is the light up the mood sort of topic.
It's kind of...
It's not as dark, but it's certainly important.
Yeah. So this restaurant, the reason why the lawsuit was put into effect was because they refused to fulfill a customer's requests mid-meal. Now, the customer, which is known as PG...
To protect their identity.
Yeah, to protect their identity, it's just PG. Stated he and his spouse were weekly patrons to the Baton Rouge Steakhouse in Oakville.
Baton Rouge Steakhouse.
Baton Rouge?
Baton Rouge. Named after Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Okay.
Or Louisiana, sorry.
Until the incident, which took place in December of 2013, there were no complaints from staff to fulfill his requests. Now, some of PG's requests were to be seated in the same booth every single time, away from other customers. So nobody else was allowed to be seated near them.
Not always possible.
They needed to have the booth cleaned in front of them before they sat down. They needed to have the cutlery brought to him and his partner on the plate. They weren't allowed to touch the table. It had to come clean from the kitchen on the plate.
Wow.
They also had to have his water served to him with no straw or lemon slice.
Okay.
Have his baked potatoes served in a very specific way. They wouldn't explain what that specific way is, but it needed to be served in a specific way, otherwise they won't eat it. And their bread needed to be served in a basket that was lined with several napkins, so the bread never touched the basket. No matter how clean that basket was. I don't know if it was a wicker basket or not.
Eventually the restaurant presumably got sick of this. Well, I'm sure the employees were sick of it long earlier, but the restaurant changed ownership at one point during this time period, and the service that the couple had become accustomed to was stopped happening. December 2013, which is 3 months after that ownership change, they claimed they were ignored for 45 minutes. Food took longer to be served, and eventually the new manager came out saying the staff no longer wished to serve him due to the high maintenance of this customer. I don't blame them one bit, but let's go a little further. PG suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and other mental illnesses. The main reason that PG was winning the lawsuit was due to the fact that previous owners were accommodating to his needs. So in other words, if they weren't accommodating, this would not be an issue.
Yeah.
Though some therapists believe PG needs to seek professional help, and I think they might be right, due to the real world being unpredictable and assisting PG gain control of his illness. I think they're right that he needs a little bit of help, but quite frankly, at some point you do have to fire a customer. I'm not gonna lie, I work retail, and there are some points where it's just easier to send them somewhere else, especially if these are people that won't be satisfied no matter where they go. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, with all these mental illnesses there as well that he does have, if he needs to have things served to him in a very specific way, or he's not going to be able to eat his meal, then he really does need to seek a little bit of help.
Because a potato is a potato is a potato.
And
at the end of the day, it's going to taste like a potato.
And you can't really control seating as well, because what happens if you have a full night that night? There's a big, huge anniversary party.
You're going to piss off more people than you're going to please.
Exactly. And I mean, the new owners did try to do this for 3 months before they're like, enough is enough.
Yep.
And if it wasn't for the previous owners doing this, if it wasn't for the fact that he was able to get it at the beginning, then he would have lost the lawsuit, because they would have been like, look, you never been accommodated before, but he was. So
I am wondering though, did they tip decently? Did that ever come out?
Who knows? Maybe with the previous owners.
But quite honestly, let's be real. I think it's the whole staff that got pissed off about it. The previous owners were accommodating, but just the owners, not the staff.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and who knows if this was the same staff that served them before or not.
It probably was, but it also could have just been new people who were like, screw this. Because I know a lot of people who would be like that. They wouldn't care.
So if you guys have any suggestions on the restaurant business and when to say enough is enough with a customer, leave your comments. We love to read them. We love to hear from you.
I have a suggestion right off the bat. If you're going to be that demanding, tip very, very high.
Make it worth their while.
Exactly, because if you want all the best of everything, you better be prepared to pay for it. That's what I always say.
So what's our next story there, Gray?
I think we have a big thing happening south of the border in the U.S. Republican primary contest. It is now over, which is good news.
Oh, wow.
It's good news because now we don't have to hear about Ted Cruz anymore. We don't have to hear too many Donald Trump rallies. There's no threats of riots anymore. It's all over. Thank God. We know it's going to be Donald Trump. We know this now. There's no uncertainty. It's going to happen. He's going to get the Republican nomination for President of the United States, whether Republicans like it or not. So
after, where was it? In Indiana, I want to say?
Indiana, yes. It was the primary in Indiana. And Ted no, Donald Trump said it all. If he wins Indiana, it's all over for Ted Cruz. Donald Trump won Indiana. Ted Cruz dropped out of the race the next day. John Kasich, hours later, also dropped out. That leaves Donald Trump to win any contest that's left. So I'm going to just analyze it for a minute. And there's a lot of people who are going to say Donald Trump won because of a lot of people who were uneducated or blah, blah, blah. All this stuff is what the Republican establishment's saying. But I have my own theory.
He is an actor. He's a pretty damn good actor, and he knows how to grab people's attention. That's
my theory, as well as, let's take a look at his past for a quick minute. He ran, he was the star of a TV show called The Apprentice back in the 2000s, and he did a lot of seasons of The Apprentice. And let's look at one similarity that The Apprentice had with this race for the nomination. He had 17 candidates in his field, and there was usually 16 or 18 candidates in The Apprentice. And every week was a new contest, new debates, and basically his only challenge is to cream them. Doesn't matter how. If there were no rules in The Apprentice, if there were rules in the Republican Party, he didn't care about them. He won every time. And it showed. The poll numbers always showed that he would win contest after contest. So all I can really say there is that is a big one. And then we have to look at who he's up against. Now, I'm trying to pull this up on my phone, and I'm having a little trouble finding it. Yes, here we are. Republican presidential candidates of 2016. Who else was he running against? John Kasich. John Kasich is the governor of Ohio. He's also known for somebody who looks down on women.
Oh.
Yes, Kay, if he heard this podcast, he would say, it's nice, but you should really be back in the kitchen.
And then there's Donald Trump to get in the mother effing kitchen.
Yes, but Donald Trump's not known for that. He's known for a lot of other things. Then we have Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz is Canadian born. That's an issue because only natural citizens of the United States can be president. But there's no precedent involving a Canadian-born person in the White House. We don't even know if he's eligible. Let's see, there's Marco Rubio as well. He dropped out early. He is a U.S. Senator from Florida. Knows Spanish, can reach out to the Hispanic population, but didn't seem to matter. Dr. Ben Carson, neurosurgeon.
Oh my goodness, don't get me started on Ben Carson.
All I needed to hear, Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush. We don't want another Jeb Bush. Or another Bush period, I should say. Jeb couldn't really draw a crowd. People have had enough with George W. They don't want another Bush period. Let's go through this other list. Okay, Carly Fiorina. Carly Fiorina ran Hewlett-Packard in the early 2000s. This is a questionable thing. She, in the tenure, added about 2,000 jobs to HP, but the problem is she also slashed 30,000 jobs during her time as CEO of the company. That's something that any candidate could seize on, and if somebody wants to run on job creation, they can't be somebody who slashed 30,000 jobs. Then we have Chris Christie as well. He's the governor of New Jersey, and it's not so much him, it's more who he surrounds himself with. There was a problem about 2 or 3 years ago where the mayor of the town of Fort Lee, New Jersey, refused to endorse him as governor. So what did he do? Well, maybe not him, I shouldn't say that he did it, but his associates, it's been tracked and there was convictions involved in this, but his associates, people who he appointed, ordered lanes of a bridge from Fort Lee to Manhattan to close. No reason. And this went on for 4 days where they closed 2 lanes of a bridge to cause major traffic headaches. There was no reason for it at all. So yeah, all I can really say about it is this was an easy choice for a lot of people. It was between Donald Trump, who is pretty much synonymous with success.
The lesser of all evils.
Choose between the person who's synonymous with success and quality in the eyes of many, many people who spend too much time watching reality TV, or CEOs who cost jobs, people who create traffic headache, another George Bush, that sort of thing. It was an easy decision for too many people.
Now, talking about the primaries in the states there as well, I do have updated information on the New York primary lawsuit.
Still news.
Yeah. So what's going to happen is those 20,000 approximate people there, that have found that their ballots have been changed have to plead their case individually to the election.
Individually, 20,000 times.
Yes, to the election board.
Wow.
And then they may or may not be able to vote again.
But what difference does it make now? Like, they're gonna do it again. They're probably gonna all switch to Bernie because they've done the analysis, and a lot has happened in Brooklyn, where Bernie's from. But will actually make a difference. Like, are they actually going to go through that process, or are they going to say to hell with it? We have a life to live.
Well, that's the issue, right? I'm sure some of them are going to say the hell with it. Some of them are like, no, we are going to vote. We need to vote. But with them doing it individually, and who knows how long the election board's going to take on deciding, yeah, you know what, we'll let you re-vote or not. By then, the primaries are going to be over. Are they still going to be able to count these votes after that? Probably not.
I don't think they will. Not at this point.
So at this point,
I really hope that there is something that can be done, but I'm just doubtful, because this is how the U.S. is set up in so many ways. You cannot vote, even though it's your right, because someone else has decided that you shouldn't have a voice.
Exactly, and I mean, at this rate too, it looks like it's going to be Trump versus Hillary, and honestly, which one's better choice? I can't think.
There's a lot of people that won't think either. I mean, you look at it, there's a Republican Senator, Lindsey Graham. It's a man. It's not a woman, it's a man.
Yeah.
He has said that he will not vote for either of them.
And a lot of
really
celebrities
hates
said that
each of them
too.
that much. That leaves Bernie Sanders as the only choice. But will it shine through for Bernie Sanders? We'll find out.
Well, I already know that he's already starting on his 2020 election.
I hope he's still good that long. I'm sure he will be. But at that point, you have to keep in mind, if you're running, you're going to be running to be president for 8 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know how old he'll be. I know he will be in his 80s.
And I mean, he will be running against whoever wins this election too, which makes it even harder.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time, they do get reelected a second time.
Somehow George W. Bush got reelected.
I know, and it's because, they're already in office, we might as well just send them there again.
Yep.
But he has recruited with a couple different people on election campaigns there as well.
Good.
So I forget their names, but at least it's not just going to be him, but there's going to be a couple people that have the same views as him that will be running in that 2020 election.
Oh, good.
So all we can do here, I guess, is keep our fingers crossed and hope for the best for our American brothers.
Bernie Sanders has done wonderful things for the progressive movement out in the United States, and I hope he continues, and I hope that more people will hear his message and more people will carry it forward.
Now, if you want more information on Democracy Springs, you go to democracysprings.org there, and you'll be able to read everything from their website and exactly what is going on in the States.
democracysprings.org. Definitely check it out. Well, here we are. I believe we're at the end of our show.
Yeah, you know what? It's time for some Smartie ice cream.
I agree.
So we hope you guys all enjoy the rest of your Mother's Day there. Thank you for tuning in again to our second episode. It's been a pleasure. Like I said, make sure you comment and like and share your thoughts with us. We like to hear from you. We have Twitters at ToonieBin, and then our Facebook, if you go to facebook.com/ToonieBin, and of course our YouTube channel here, ToonieBin. So
we read all the comments, so don't worry, your voice truly does count here at ToonieBin. From myself and Kay, we would like to wish you all a wonderful rest of your week. Stay tuned. More coming next week.